Right now, your heart is beating faster than it should be. Maybe you checked your phone and felt a spike of anxiety. Maybe you scrolled through bad news and felt a darkness settle in. Maybe you lay awake last night, your mind racing through problems that have no solution. You probably blamed stress, or modern life, or yourself. But here is the truth. Your brain is not broken. It is just ancient, and it has absolutely no idea what century it is living in. 50,000 years ago, a human woke up before sunrise. The air was cold. The forest was dark. Somewhere nearby, something moved. That human did not think. They reacted. Their heart rate doubled in under a second. Their muscles flooded with blood. Their vision narrowed to a single point of focus. In that moment, their brain did exactly what it was built to do. It kept them alive. That response saved millions of lives across hundreds of thousands of years. And it is the exact same response firing inside your skull right now when your boss sends you a message at 9 p.m. Here is what most people do not understand about the human brain. It did not evolve for the world you live in. It evolved for a world that no longer exists. Neuroscientist Dr. Paul MacLean spent decades mapping the human brain and identified what he called the triune brain, 3 distinct layers built at completely different points in evolutionary history. The oldest layer is called the reptilian brain. It controls your heartbeat, your breathing, your survival instincts. It is around 500 million years old. The second layer is the limbic system. It handles emotions, memory, fear, and reward. It developed roughly 150 million years ago. The third and newest layer is the prefrontal cortex. This is where logic lives, where planning lives, where your sense of self lives. It is also the youngest part of your brain by an enormous distance, and it is in constant conflict with everything beneath it. Think about that for a moment. The part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making is essentially a thin layer wrapped around a much older, much louder, much more powerful machine. Psychologist Dr. Daniel Kahneman described this as System 1 and System 2 thinking. System 1 is fast, automatic, emotional, and ancient. System 2 is slow, deliberate, logical, and exhausting. Here's the problem. System 1 runs almost all the time. System 2 only activates when you consciously force it to. This means that in most moments of your daily life, you are not making rational decisions. You are making ancient ones. In 1967, psychologist Martin Seligman conducted one of the most important experiments in the history of human psychology. He placed dogs in a situation where they received mild electric shocks they could not escape. Later, when given a clear path to escape, the dogs did not take it. They had learned to be helpless. Seligman called this learned helplessness, but what he discovered next changed everything. The same pattern exists in humans. When modern humans are placed in situations where they feel they have no control, they stop trying, even when the exit is right in front of them. Your ancient brain learned one critical lesson, somewhere deep in prehistoric time. If something feels dangerous and you cannot escape it, stop moving, freeze, wait, survive. That lesson kept your ancestors alive, but it is the same lesson that today keeps millions of people stuck in jobs they hate, relationships that hurt them, and lives that feel like cages. Ask yourself something. When was the last time you actually faced a physical threat to your survival? A real one? A predator? A famine? A rival tribe? Probably never. But your brain does not know that. Researchers at Harvard Medical School published findings showing that the human stress response, the flooding of cortisol and adrenaline that prepares the body for fight or flight, is triggered almost identically by a threatening email as it is by a physical attack. Your body cannot tell the difference between a woolly mammoth and a passive-aggressive message from a coworker. To your ancient brain, both are the same category of threat. Both activate the same emergency system. Both flood your body with the same chemicals designed for short bursts of physical survival. The problem is that modern stress is not short. It is continuous. Your body was built to handle a 3-minute chase followed by hours of calm. Instead, it is handling 8 hours of low-grade alarm, followed by a night of anxious half-sleep. And this is destroying people in ways your ancestors never experienced. Chronic stress today kills more people annually than almost any single disease. The American Psychological Association found that stress-related illness accounts for up to 75% of all doctor visits in the United States. Heart disease, autoimmune conditions, digestive disorders, depression, all of them connected to a stress system that was never designed to run permanently. Your ancient brain is literally making you sick, trying to protect you from threats that do not exist in the form it expects. But the mismatch goes even deeper than stress. Consider loneliness. In 2023, the United States Surgeon General declared loneliness a national epidemic. Studies from Brigham Young University found that chronic loneliness increases the risk of early death by 26%. In some studies, the health damage caused by loneliness equals smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now think about this. 50,000 years ago, being separated from your tribe was a death sentence. Alone in the wild, you could not hunt large animals. You could not defend yourself. You could not survive a single bad winter. Your brain evolved to treat social rejection as a physical emergency. The same neural pathways that process physical pain process social exclusion. Being left out of a group activates the same brain regions as breaking a bone. This is not weakness. This is ancient survival machinery interpreting the modern world through a lens that is 50,000 years out of date. And then there is the negativity bias. In 1998, psychologists Roy Baumeister and Ellen Bratzlavsky published a landmark paper titled, "Bad is Stronger Than Good." Their research showed that negative experiences, negative emotions, and negative information have a dramatically stronger impact on human psychology than positive ones. You can receive 9 compliments and 1 criticism, and your brain will spend the rest of the day rehearsing the criticism. You can have a good year interrupted by 1 terrible month and remember the year as bad. Why does this happen? Because in the ancient world, missing a positive opportunity was unfortunate, but missing a negative threat was fatal. Your brain evolved to scan constantly for danger, to remember bad experiences more vividly, to anticipate the worst possible outcome. In the wild, this hypervigilance kept you alive. In the modern world, it keeps you awake at 3 a.m. replaying conversations from 2 weeks ago. Here's something almost nobody talks about. The modern world was not designed for the human brain. It was designed around profit. Social media platforms are engineered to exploit your ancient social instincts. Your brain craves social validation the same way it craved food and water on the savannah. Every like, every comment, every notification. These are not neutral interactions. They are ancient reward circuits being deliberately activated by systems built to keep you addicted. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris testified before the United States Senate in 2019, stating that technology companies had essentially hacked the human brain using ancient psychological vulnerabilities most people do not even know exist. Your brain was not built to scroll. It was built to hunt, to gather, to bond, and to rest. And the gap between what it was built for and what it is being asked to do is widening every single year. So what do you do with this information? The first thing is simply to understand it. When you feel anxious about something objectively safe, that is not weakness. That is an ancient threat detection system doing its job in the wrong era. When you spiral into social anxiety after a single awkward interaction, that is not dysfunction. That is your brain trying to protect your place in a tribe you no longer need to survive. When you cannot stop replaying negative memories, that is not a character flaw. That is a memory system optimized for a world where forgetting the wrong thing could get you killed. Anthropologist Dr. Helen Fisher spent 30 years studying human behavior and concluded that the fundamental drives of the human brain have not meaningfully changed in at least 100,000 years. But the world those drives are now operating in changes every single decade. There is a concept in evolutionary psychology called evolutionary mismatch. It describes exactly this situation. When the environment an organism evolved in no longer matches the environment it currently lives in, the organism struggles, not because it is defective, but because it is optimized for the wrong world. Humans are the most extreme example of evolutionary mismatch in the history of life on Earth. No other species has changed its environment so radically so quickly. No other brain has been asked to navigate artificial light, global news, digital social hierarchies, processed food, sleep deprivation, and existential uncertainty all at the same time. And yet, here you are, navigating all of it, with a brain that was last fundamentally updated 50,000 years ago. The ancient human who woke up in that dark forest 50,000 years ago was terrified, but they survived. They found food, they built shelter, they formed bonds so powerful that their descendants eventually built cities, wrote symphonies, and launched machines into the stars. They did all of that with the exact same brain you are using right now, the same fears, the same social instincts, the same negativity bias, the same desperate need to belong. The difference is not the brain, the difference is the world. And perhaps the most important question you can ask yourself is not why you feel so overwhelmed by modern life. Perhaps the most important question is this: how extraordinary is it that you are functioning at all? You are running ancient software on a world that rewrites itself every few years, and somehow, every single day, you get up and try again. That is not a malfunction. That is the most remarkable thing evolution ever produced.